Hey everybody, welcome back to the Silver Coin Podcast. For anyone that is new around here, my name is Gal, and as always, I'm joined by my brother Lan. So,
Hi.
how have you been?
Me, I've been amazing, but you know that. So, yeah,
I
I
do
know
know
that
that.
you're amazing also. So, yeah, long time no see for the podcast.
Yeah, we'll try to do it a bit more often now, and a bit shorter as well. I know we always promise that, but we'll try to stick to it. But yeah, today we wanted to step a little bit away from our own project, board game we are making, right? And make this episode somewhat educational. So we will talk about how to create your own board game. This has been something that has been asked quite a lot of times, and since many people have this dream or goal but do not know where to start or how to proceed. So hopefully we can shed some light here and help those who are interested, or even inspire someone to do it themselves, right?
Definitely. Like the idea is, once we go through the entire cycle, we are going to be able to say a lot more about this. It's always like this. When you do stuff, it's easy to be the general after the battle. Before the battle occurred, it's a bit, I guess, less effective to tell people how to do stuff. But still, it doesn't really matter. I think that definitely after we have done the entire project, we are going to create some kind of a guide similar to what Jamie from Stagmire Games has done, so we can provide additional information for people who are seeking it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We want to help people as much as possible, because we know how it was with our project, that we needed to like look for different information in like dozens of different places. So if you have someone you can check and who can guide you, sure, why not? So that being said, I think we can start basically because you are, after all, a designer, and I'm a mere, marketing PR expert. Basically, what made you decide to create a board game of all things? I know we've been, as a family, we've created. I mean, you've been creative your whole life. We've created music, we've created other stuff. But why board game?
Yeah, it's a random stuff. Nothing that major. I didn't have an epiphany or whatever. It was just, you're young, you're creating stuff to enjoy for yourself, for your family, and so on. And then basically one thing leads to another. You meet friends who have special set of skills like graphical designing and so on, and they say, look, why don't we make this something more serious of a project or whatever. And it just happens. Basically, people are playing your prototypes that you have made long time ago, and they like it. They want to make it a reality. They are at a certain point in life that they think they're able to do it, and the rest, I guess, is history. It's nothing that that special, I would say. When you look back at other designers, they have done it similarly. So yeah. That was really it. Nothing that major. Like, I was creating a lot of stuff, a lot of games to play with family and so on, just because I liked it. And even when I was growing up, getting a job and stuff like that, I was still creating some stuff. I guess I just always was that type of a guy, creating, thinking, designing, whatever. Just it was fun for me. So I was always, you need to have a part of you always be a child and never grow up fully, I guess, because otherwise the world and time-wise it will consume you, and you will not have time. If your wife or whatever spouse will come check, see what you're doing, and she will say, go wash the dishes instead, or whatever. I mean, you always have to have a bit of that if you want to do that, or you just have to be really young. I mean, I consider myself relatively young for the designer, or at least I was when I started this. But yeah, that's it. Nothing that major.
But yeah, that's a good point. But basically, above all, I think you need to love what you're doing as well, right? So if you decide to create your own board game, you need to, you know, love board games, love to play board games. And just like in every other aspect, every other hobby, every other thing that you want to create, if you want to write your own book, or if you want to play football, play basketball and be a professional basketball player, you need to love basketball above all. And when creating a board game, at least in my opinion, you know, you also need to play a lot of board games, because that's one of the most important things to keep in mind, in my opinion. You can then tell your own, you know, aspect, your own point of view, I suppose. But I think that if you want to write a great book, you need to, you know, read a lot of books to know what suits you, what you think is a good writing, and to have a lot of, you know, a broad spectrum of knowledge in this area. In the board games, this goes as well, right? If you play like 200 board games, you know, something like that, which we did, right? Which you did as a board game designer, you get, you know, a feeling of a lot of different mechanics that you perhaps like, perhaps some you dislike, but above all, you know what's up there, what's in there in the world, what exists. And when deciding to create a board game, you know, this is quite an important aspect, at least for me. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. There might be designers out there who never created never played a game before creating a great board game. There might be, but I doubt it. There are also types of games, like you can be playing, you know, a lot of party games, a lot of typical Walmart stuff like Monopoly or whatever, and then trying to create something totally different probably also doesn't fly. So I would say that is the single most significant thing that any designer should do if they want to basically create a good board game. To know what is good, first you have to play a lot of games. Then you basically know what for yourself you consider good, what is not good, which mechanics you like, which you don't, and then you move on from there. So probably the single most important thing, besides creativity and sheer determination and time, I would say it's just play a lot of board games. Yeah.
And then I suppose one of the most common questions we've been getting as you know, now soon to be publisher, hopefully, or at least a first-time creator. A lot of people have been asking us, you know, as a first-time creator, why did you decide to create this monster of a game, you know, this like 4 to 5 hours, perhaps even that long of a game, with so many components, so many rules, you know, basically a really big game. And this is your first project and so many things to think about. Why didn't you decide to create a card game, or why didn't you go for Monopoly 2.0? Because it's easier, you get experiences, you get you know, a bit of knowledge on what did you need to go through, you know, for the Kickstarter process, or if you want to go just through the publishing, you know, you go through that. But so why basically decide this big game at the beginning, right?
Yeah, I mean, it crossed my mind, of course. Look, I mentioned this already. I'm a lean management guy by profession, or at least partially in my daytime job, I do that. So I try to go through those, I guess, motions or processes, trying to think about what is logical, what makes sense, also not just what I want to do, but what I want to do, what you want to do is an important part of that process also, because you have to realize that before you step into this world and you want to create something, you really have to be passionate about it. And saying just I'm going to create something light, something way smaller and whatever, just because it makes more sense, I don't think it will cut it, just because of it just makes more sense. The passion part of it is very important also, but you do have to do your due diligence and check what are the necessary steps, and is it even viable? Can you do it? So one step, I guess, at a time. First, so you try to create a game. You know what you want to create, and you think about, oh, what do I need to do it, and does it even make sense? And when it comes to a big project, yeah, you definitely can start writing pros and cons. And you can definitely say right at the beginning that the con is that you will spend that much more time doing everything. Also, some people would say maybe try to learn the entire process first before adding substance, a lot of substance to it. So that means basically if you go through the entire motion of Kickstarter, designing the game or whatever, with a small project, then you basically get a hang of it. Also build a bit of community, and then the second, third time or whatever, you go and you increase the scope of the project and whatnot. But this was discussed many times in the past, and I do not believe it to be so. I will explain so why. So first of all, this was not the first idea for the project that we had when we were deciding on what we want to do. We actually had an even bigger game in mind, but then for many reasons that I will not go into this podcast, we decided to go with this. And definitely there is a challenge, but there is also some pros in all of it. So first of all, you have to know your target audience. You have to know for what target audience for who you're making this game. In our case, we are talking about passionate gamers, heavy gamers, even some would say, but definitely passionate niche gamers. Niche gamers in a sense that there is a lot less people liking this type of genre than your ordinary game that you can pull out and play in 10 minutes, if I'm being blunt. But basically, board gaming is so big and people are so passionate that even for this there exists a big community out there. So first you know that, so you first have to know that, and then second of all, if you're doing other projects, smaller projects like party games or whatever, you're building the wrong community if you eventually want to step up and do something like this, because then basically you go, you try to promote this, you have this big newsletter or whatever, and people are like, oh, what is this project that you're doing? Before you were doing some family game stuff or whatever, and now you're trying to say to us, look, what about this big fantasy game? And people are just not buying it because they were on board on a totally different train. So that's the first thing. So, and that's one of the important things that why you should go for this. The second thing is we all have our own I guess option and time-wise narrow window when we can do that. Like I myself now have two kids. One is 1, one is 4. When I started this project, one was barely born. If I would try to do something like this today, or had a discussion with my girlfriend about this, it would be a lot harder because we all have different things going on at a certain point in our life, and you do need to have a lot of time for these kind of things. Although time is always relative, and you have to take a lot of it, but still, your family will in the end definitely suffer a bit because of it, because you will spend so much time developing games, dealing with this project. For me, it was always 4 years now, almost 4 years. So yeah, this is definitely something to consider. So like, now is my window. In 3 years time I will not have the window. So it's not like, oh, I want to do this project and then that project and then that project. Who knows, maybe this is your only project, or maybe you'll go long term and you will create many other projects. It depends on the things, and you just have to be real and try to do what you really want to do in that one go that you have, and then maybe something will develop. So that's the second thing. And the third thing that I would say is also really important is that you're passionate about it, because it will take a lot from you, a lot of time, a lot of devotion. There will be ups and downs, like in a relationship or any other thing that is long term and requires a lot of commitment and time. So you have to love it. If you don't love it, you'll end up hating it more than you love it, and I don't think that the result will be good, if that makes sense. So that's I guess that would be the gist of it.
Okay, so would you say you have like a Checkbox for people who inspire, who wants to become a board game designer. Now, I know we've not gone through all of the process itself yet ourselves, right? But are there like any tips, any checkboxes for people who say, okay, I want to create my own board game tomorrow? What do they need to know? What do they need to check before starting that?
Yeah, I'll try to really maybe mention those that are important and are not just, you know, something that you would hear all the time when you're reading stuff on the internet. So first of all, the most important thing before you start is make sure that you, like I said, play a lot of games so that you know what the market has to offer, and that you know also what kind of games are good and not, what kind of mechanics fit, what kind of mechanic doesn't. So basically play a lot of games. This is for me a necessity, so do that first. The second thing is when you decide on whatever theme, type of board game, whatever you want to do, be passionate about it. Very important in the long run. Third, talk to the immediate people in your life, I mean in the immediate vicinity, those who will be affected by it. If you're single, it's that much easier actually. If you're not single, there are also benefits of that. You will get some, you know, emotional support and stuff like that. Maybe it sounds funny, but you will actually need it if you're going to for a big project especially. So do that, talk with them and so on. The last thing you want to do is messing up your life just because of this project, and it can be done. I think if you don't talk with and communicate with people you love that are going to be affected by it. The fourth thing I would say is do your due diligence and check what actually it means, especially if you go through crowdfunding and stuff like that or not. Decided at the beginning, right at the beginning, do you want to be a game designer or do you want to be a publisher? That is two different roads, and anyone can say no, I want to do it on my own or whatever. Really think about it. There are different approaches to all of it, but most importantly, game designer is just focusing on designing a game, while if you're going self-publishing route, you have to do the entire deal. You have to be basically aware of all the things, from logistics to how to make minis and, you know, whatever you're basically doing. So know that this is a big decision right at the beginning. Try to consult with people who have gone through the process, either just by designing and trying to seek for publishers, or those that are going the self-publishing route. Try to talk with them. There are also material and stuff on the internet, like I mentioned before, Jamie Stegmaier, hopefully in the future our material. Even this that we are now creating is some material that you can use to maybe help you go through some things. And try to reach out. Some will ignore it, but some will try to help you out, especially if they see that you are willing to devote a lot of time and are passionate about it. Don't be afraid, reach out. And then I guess the final ones I would say is make sure that you really try to improve your skills, your product all the time. Don't just go through the processes, through the motions and do the thing, but try to really develop your game and skills to try to be better, because in the end there is a lot of competition out there. Board gaming is a big thing. Also, if you're looking at crowdfunding, it's the single most profitable business for Kickstarter and so on. So there's a lot of competition, and if you want to be successful, you have to be giving something unique to the market, something that is better than a lot of stuff that's out there already. So that's just the way capitalism and markets work. Like you cannot buy every single product. You have to choose, and there is a niche for a lot of things. But just know your audience, know what you're doing. Like, you're not creating the game for yourself. If you're creating a game from yourself, then stick with a garage process and mindset, and play with your friends. But if you want to try to go on the market and sell the product and so on, then you have to realize that you're in the end creating it for some kind of audience. You have to know that audience, and you have to know that you're creating it for them. So don't think just what you like. Try to research and make sure that the market likes it. That would be like the most essential things. Then there's 10,000 other stuff. People can reach out to us, to other people also. Yeah. And I guess that's it.
Great. I do think we kind of covered a lot of stuff in this 20 minutes or so. I hope it was helpful. We are definitely thinking about doing more of those educational stuff, not just our project and the themes and topics connected to it, but also stuff connected to helping people, as we said, as you mentioned. So yeah, how to create your board game, perhaps one of the first educational podcasts. Later on, more of them will come, even after we hopefully successfully finish our Kickstarter. Then will be the genre after the battle, as you said.
Listen, if we fail, we can teach people a lot about that also.
Yeah,
don't do it like us.
Yeah.
I mean, go through our podcast, listen to every single episode, and do the opposite, and then maybe you'll succeed. But yeah, definitely once you go through the entire cycle, you can be more kind of a general about the battle you have just underwent, because then you can say, look, I made it through, I was successful, I can now maybe teach you a thing or two. But like, if you don't, then people are just hoping that maybe this guy is saying something that's useful or not. Let's see, right?
Yeah, so thanks for listening, and hopefully see you in next 2 weeks, or next week perhaps. Yeah. Bye.
Take care. Play a lot of games, but more importantly, spend some time with your loved ones. Don't forget about that.
Cheers.